That one. Oh, no. Oh, for fuck's sake.
So many colors.
Do you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to pretend I do anyway. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Monday. It is the 20th of February already. And look at this. We managed to not only drag Alex Caige into a radio studio again, but we also got the great Leigh-Ann Mole. I was saying to Alex when you walked in, I haven't been in a room with you for like 3, maybe even 4 years.
Yeah, since long before the vid.
Bad, right?
Yeah. No, it was when COVID started.
Yeah, no. It was
so March 22.
Okay, so
March 21.
Almost
20.
almost 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Still a long
I
time.
feel so old.
Well, you are.
My hips aren't what they used to be. I won't lie.
Well, luckily you won't be using those this morning.
You didn't walk in with a limp, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. How are you,
good.
Caige?
I'm good, dude.
Good.
It's good to see you guys. Good to see you in person as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We had to do the generic radio greeting. Like,
What is that?
I'm sure I've met you before. Okay, thanks.
Somewhere down the line.
All right. So it's actually, I think it's the first time we've been on a show together for a long time as well, right?
It's over 10 years, yeah. Probably, 10, 11 years.
So here's what it says in his biography, which they've taken the trouble to type up for me.
Oh, yes.
Alex Caige, radio TV presenter and pilot who's made waves with his energetic and fearless style of broadcasting. That's what they say in the official, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
It says here, Alex has won multiple MTN radio awards for Best Campus Breakfast Presenter, Daytime Presenter, Best Campus Breakfast Show on his show on Tux FM. He was also nominated for Best Commercial Weekend Show on 947 Highveld Stereo at the MTN Radio Awards back in 2013. By the way, I saw their logo. You don't have to comment on this because I want you to sound like bitter and twisted about anything. I saw their new. Have you seen their new logo? So it came up on like an Instagram ad the other day, and it looks like the game logo. It's like bright pink with like.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like game.
No, I haven't seen
it. So I
it.
thought, oh shit, they're advertising microwaves again, but it turned out to be a radio station.
Game radio.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, good for them.
Yeah.
So that's what it says in your official biography. Of course, he's also a friend of mine and has been for many years now. How long have I even known you?
I was thinking about it on the way here. 15 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Time for new friends.
We've survived.
Sure.
Like
Wow.
after 15 years. It's actually quite impressive.
Wow. Okay. So got lots of things to do today. This morning, we've got Dr Hanan joining us as always. And it's appropriate that we should have a psychologist for, the three of us live in studio for the first time.
Yeah.
Plenty of other good stuff. And your first time in the studio.
Yes,
Very
first time
exciting.
here. Very
Right.
pleased to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I avoided it for as long as I could.
Well, you made it. When Ryan told me you were coming in, I thought he was just taking the piss.
And it was like an 8-minute drive. It was fantastic.
Did it feel?
Look, I cried in the shower, I'll admit.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for.
Okay, because it was really early.
So you, Alex Caige, have now pretty much taken to the skies. I mean, radio is kind of boring by comparison. I don't blame you. But you are a pilot. Listen to this, Leigh-Ann.
Mhm.
Not only does he fly fixed-wing aircraft and trains other pilots in fixed-wing aircraft, he can do aerobatics in them. But now he's now also a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
Helicopter.
No, but that's not a small list of achievements. And,
Yeah, look. It's exciting.
it is exciting. I think it's way more exciting than anything most people do for a living. Most people wake up in the morning and they go, "Oh well, I'll make myself a cup of coffee and
Put
then
on pants.
put on pants if they aren't working from home, which a
Mhm.
lot of people still are. And then they go and they sit in front of spreadsheets and stuff.
I would go crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, it is really a very cool thing. So when people say to you, "Oh, you're not on the radio anymore," you say to them, "Well, no, but I've been doing this side by side for a while now." I mean, it's how many years you've been flying?
Yeah, so I started flying in 2016
Sure.
while I was on radio. So I saved up quite a bit of cash to start my
Because
pilot's
it's an
license.
expensive.
Yeah,
business,
it's not cheap. So my parents were like, "Oh, where's all the cash gone?" And, well, yeah.
Get your own retirement.
Yeah. No, so 2016, that's when I started flying. But I mean, Gareth knows, growing up, it was always radio, pilots, or Formula One driver. I was quite ambitious.
Well, you've got 2 of them done, so now you've only got to do Formula One.
Yeah.
You'll be-
It's a bit late, isn't it?
I'll try to own the team. That's
Okay,
how I'm
there we
trying to
go.
justify it. But
that's a good ambition.
yeah, but geez,
Those guys start from like the age of 4.
no, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, at least.
Yeah.
They born in a go-kart. So
Yeah.
And I try to drive and I've crashed 1 or 2 cars. So realized that's probably not the way to go. But yeah, so 2016 started flying then, and then it just snowballed from there. So did my private pilot's license from there. Then I went into commercial pilot's license. Then I instructed.
That's
and then
very impressive list of things.
Yeah, and then I tried to do helicopter as well. And
I mean, here's George Meany, who's the CEO of AutoTrader. He says, "Wow, that's amazing. That's doing your hobby for a living."
Yeah, and like you said, some people wake up to go do spreadsheets. I get to say, cool, I'm going to go teach somebody how to fly an airplane from never even driving a car. They're coming out of school. They don't even have their driver's license yet. My youngest student hasn't even had their driver's license yet.
Oh my word!
Yeah.
What's the most nervous you've seen someone? What's the worst they've done?
I had a guy that he didn't want to do his pilot's license, but he had never been in an airplane before, and I offered to take him for a flight. Older guy, 41, 42 years old.
Sure, old, hey?
No, but I was saying it like a kid.
Ring.
Yeah. And he coming into land, he grabbed the control column, the basically the ailerons and the elevators, how you can control it. And he grabbed it coming into land, and he actually he nearly stalled the airplane coming into land. And that was
why did he grab it? Out of fear?
Yeah.
Out of fear. So what happens is when you slow the airplane down,
They shouldn't put that in front of you.
No, they don't. You shouldn't. You should actually just take it out. But yeah, the guy grabbed it, tried to pull it up, and it was quite.
So I've flown with you in the helicopter. I haven't been in a fixed wing with you. You took us for lunch one day, and it's quite cool. First of all, to see, because obviously as a mate of his, we're used to like drinking and talking nonsense. And I mean, we don't just talk nonsense. We actually have pretty interesting conversations too. But to see him so kind of in control of this incredible piece of machinery.
Adulting.
Yeah. And also to, the pre-flight checks and everything. I mean, he's like completely serious about it. And he's showing us exactly what it is. I mean, he was explaining stuff about the dynamics of flight, which I found fascinating. He's got this app on his phone that shows the way that wind moves over a wing. I mean, it's like such nerdy shit.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that. And then obviously the flying, I was kind of nervous because I thought he's a lunatic and this might be the last thing I ever do. But it was really good fun and such a cool feeling to be flying with your friend,
Do you remember, I don't know if they still do it at Sun City, those helicopter...
Strippers. Oh.
No.
They still do those.
They still have those, I think. What's important.
Oh, how I miss them. But the pilot who takes you in a helicopter...
I don't think they do that anymore, but we did that.
Yeah, but when he walked up to us, I think he had a walking stick. He was limping and he had a big scar across his forehead. And he said, yeah, this is from a helicopter crash. And then we got in with him.
Yeah, we were like, yeah.
And then he took us like on a railless roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, went like down the sides of mountains and things.
Well, the good thing is at least he had his one crash, because they say it's not a case of if, it's when. So
really?
Yeah, so at least he got his out the way. So you guys are perfectly fine. At least Gareth, yours wasn't with me. So we're all good then.
All right. Well, Ryan, if you're sorting out apparently people are bitching about the app. Apparently there's just one speaker. There's one speaker. Hang on. Insider speaker. Just talk among yourselves while I fix it.
What have you been up to?
I haven't done anything conventional, like have children, get married again for the third time-ish.
Ish.
Yeah, I can't really remember. I don't have any more cats. I've still got 3, but I didn't get any new ones along the way. And yeah, that's about it, hey?
I think I've sorted out the sound. Don't worry. That was boring.
Yeah. No, but I've got 2 cats.
I was just listening to that part. I wasn't part of that conversation, and I suddenly thought, how boring. What a boring discussion.
I know, it was bad.
Well, it's sort of cat people always resort to talking about cats.
Yes, you both are cat people. So Alex has this fucking camera thing where he calls his cats.
Like an app.
And it dispenses food to them. And it's just, what a waste of money.
I'm waiting for the load shedding to end, because then I can probably do it. I can probably feed them while I'm on the show.
Please don't. You don't have to do that. No.
I've left one dodgery cat at home that needs to be fed about 1/4 teaspoon of tuna every 7 minutes.
Why do you always have such fucked cats? Your cats used to be...
Because I've had them since I was 21 years old.
But these can't be the same ones.
Yeah, the one is.
It's that old.
Yeah, no. This one's like about 16.
That's actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
No, Slippery Pickle says, "Oh no, toxoplasmosis strikes again."
Oh,
All right. Well, we got lots to talk about. Funnily enough, Alex was going to be on the show with us last year, and he couldn't come because he was under some kind of restraint of trade after he left.
Oh, they didn't do that to us,
947.
did they?
Well, they couldn't. We didn't give them any warning. They didn't have time to
that's
prepare
true.
any contracts or anything. They only found out on the day we did the show, and I
Yes.
announced that we were leaving.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we fucked them properly.
Yeah, that was cool.
They didn't know what was going on.
And we were all
They're
going.
running around. They're running around trying to find like someone to do the morning show, and they just had no. They were like, look, they were stupid even with planning, but without planning, management at that radio station was some of the dumbest people. They always are that I've ever met. You know this.
Yeah, no, management's
So stupid. It's really, and
Interesting
I tell you what, there's something quite alarming about working for people you know are stupider than you. Don't you think?
Oh,
It can be
horrible.
demeaning.
And you still have to show respect.
Well, you don't. We learned that. Do you remember those meetings we used to have? Just you can talk about that. The one program manager who we used to play that sex video thing while she was talking to us in a meeting.
Yes.
I would go on the internet and I would
The
put
one with the sunglasses on the head.
and then you remember that site with the sex machines?
Yes, with the tongues. So it's like a big wheel.
Hold on, I need to take this down. What's that cycle?
It's called.
So you can imagine those
Something
old-fashioned not treadmills.
like a
cycle
belt,
boats.
almost like a belt sander. Have you ever seen a belt sander?
Yes.
It just
Big
takes
circle
Yeah.
with flappy
but it had
tongues
tongues
on it.
Oh, lovely.
That you can like cycle, and
Right.
it does its.
So you're playing
does-
that during a
does the work.
meeting?
Yeah, so this girl is lying with her legs spread and this machine is going. And I was playing this during the meeting with her. I mean, you can't get much more disrespectful than that. I'd probably, on just those grounds, be fired today. Today you'd be
Yeah,
cancelled.
no, that's true.
Definitely.
But she was just trying to get control of the meeting, and it
couldn't.
wasn't happening. Hey.
Did you leave the sound on at least?
Yeah,
Of
that was the
course.
whole point. We weren't watching it because we wanted to. It was just to be disrespectful. It was actually horrendous. I don't know how we managed to. How come? I mean, listen, it was only a question of time before they'd fire us anyway, right?
No, absolutely. And it was because, and to be fair, it was, 5FM was very much like a white station before. And in those times, the CEOs and the big hotshots at the SABC weren't listening to our station.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
Their
we
kids
became
were.
very diverse,
Yeah.
and their kids started listening and asking Dad, the CEO, who was getting paid a lot to do nothing, to put on Gareth Cliff in the morning.
Yeah.
And
And
they
that's
were
when they were
listening.
realizing we got away with it for so long.
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, oh,
Damn,
God.
foiled again. Had to move on. But tell me about what happened with you, because you haven't been able to talk about that, and I don't know how much you want to or you don't. Are
Yes.
you missing radio at all, or are you over it?
There are days. There are days like this. Now coming into studio, getting excited, switching on a microphone, like seeing the clock, those countdown, those things I do miss, and getting the idea of you entertaining somebody's smiling, or you getting to share a story. There's no doubt in my mind that I miss that. The politics that come with it, which you guys are very familiar with, I have no doubts. I don't miss at all. The fact that there is management that controls. People say, okay, cool, management doesn't control the outcome of the radio station, but they really do, on a massive way, and what you can talk about without getting in trouble, especially in today's day and age.
Oh,
Gareth,
no, look, now you
Gareth and I were talking about it. There's stuff that's even I did on campus radio back in the day that if I had to do now, I wouldn't have lasted this long in radio. I had to become so subdued in my own self on things that I could say and would say. So that kind of side I don't miss at all. But yeah, there's a part of me that misses entertaining people for sure. What happened? Yeah. In a nutshell, obviously the radio station's going a different direction. 947. I think.
I mean, you've got friends there. You've been friends
sure.
with Annetta for years, right?
And still am.
I mean, you've been. She made a speech at your birthday party that I remember.
Yeah.
You've been to her birthdays. You guys are you're friends.
Yeah, no, we had lunch probably 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking about.
She had lunch. She had yours and hers.
Ah, wow. He's such a clown.
Yeah.
I
I love her too. I had never a problem. I just like teasing her.
Yeah, so we still friends, but yeah, they did kind of drop me in a bit of cuck there. They told me on the Monday that my last show will be on the Friday, so that was a bit harsh.
Ooh.
after 10 years. So
Instant anxiety must have kind of closes.
So after 10 years, that's how they tell you.
Yeah, so that was a bit harsh.
Mm.
See, I mean, if you're an auditor, that doesn't happen to you. You get like a month's notice.
Oh, HR has to get involved.
And then you can clear your desk. And for 3 weeks, you just sit around waving at people or having drinks at like 2 PM or whatever. But
playing golf.
in radio, you get told a week before, if you're lucky. Yeah. Sometimes they just, I heard stories about people whose entry cards just stop working.
Yeah. So, and
then they're knocking at they're like, I'm going to be late for my show. They're like, what show?
Yeah. And then they'll tell you during the show. They'll tell you during the show. They'll be like, cool, listen, that's your last link. In the hope that you won't swear. And that's happened. That's happened at Prime Media. Remember, at I think it was 7:02. That guy.
Yes, he lost the plot a bit at the end there.
At like 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
What happened? Did he go crazy and start swearing at them?
Yeah. So what happened? What they do there is
meet him.
No.
Where is he?
I think it was about a minute and a half that he had full reign.
Full on rant.
Yeah, and what the presenters at the time would do, they were going to news because 702's news is like 3, 4, 5 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
The presenter would open his channel. They were different studios, so they were in a completely different studio, different room. Open his microphone, and they would go for a smoke during the news, and he had full reign for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, just going left, right, and center, swearing everybody possible under the sun. Every government official. Was
he on drugs or drunk or just angry?
He just had it.
No, he had enough. So
good for him.
Yeah.
Well, that's what radio will do. It'll drive you completely crazy.
Speaking of which, I am sick to death of you. It's my last link.
Oh, the nice thing about working with Leigh-Ann as long as we have is that she says that every week. So she gets it off her
and you still come back.
I was just thinking though, there are some things that you can't do anymore in radio. But if you think about our careers, you were almost fired for interviewing Jesus.
Yeah.
And you could do that this morning if you wanted to.
I could. Yeah, but that's also, see, a lot of people are unhappy about the way we do this show now because they say, it's sort of a bit tame and you're not doing any of that produced stuff you used to. But I feel like this is more real. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to do. I don't want to be tap dancing and putting on outfits and making parody songs, and
which is exactly what I did in the last year of my career on 947. You saw that, you really went out of your way to kind of do what they needed to promote that show. So their loss. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who still miss you, but you don't sit there pining for radio. No
it's
ways,
like
dude.
an X that you move on from.
No, and I will get back into radio eventually. Gareth and I were speaking about this, and I mean, he had a nice conversation. I mean, Leigh-Ann, I don't know if you know, but he's one of my role models and mentors over the years, and he was saying to me that
it's a disaster.
Exactly.
Sorry for you. What a fuck up.
That's why I've turned out this way. I've got a bit of a glitch. But he was saying to me that I should get back into radio. So eventually maybe I will. And, we'll probably talk about it. But I've got an exciting adventure coming up now in the next couple of years.
Are you allowed to talk about that at all?
So it was interesting because I spoke to my chief pilot and head of HR, and we had a bit of a conversation if I can mention anything. So I can to a certain extent. But yeah, I will get back into radio with a whole bunch of adventures that I'm coming back with and stories that I'm going to be coming back with. Because that's the most important thing, is to be able to tell stories on the radio. Well, one of the most important things, in my opinion, that you guys do incredibly well, is to be able to tell good stories. And I will get back into radio, but at this stage now, I'm not pining at all. I'm not missing it to that extent.
What do you listen to in the car? Well,
the show in particular, especially.
Really?
So I do. You know this, man. Don't, because
we don't talk about work.
So on the way to
this is a funny thing about people assume that you talk about work with your friends, but we very seldom do. Yeah. Even though we were in the same sort of business for a long time, we didn't really ever sit down and talk about radio.
Don't you remember the ones you went to
a
petrol station to put in petrol?
Yeah, and the guy asked me how DJ Fresh was.
Yeah, as if you had him in the boot.
It still happens, yeah.
I'm like, well, I'll tell you when we have dinner again tonight. We do that every night.
Yeah. So on the way to the airport, if I'm instructing students, I'll listen to the show because I'll stream it in the car. Ask podcast. There's
so much good stuff.
Yeah, there's so many good shows. And the one radio show that I listen to religiously is Kyle and Jackie O from Australia on KISS. I think they're brilliant. I enjoy them. But yeah, podcast, left, right, and center. I always want to learn. Gareth Moses. I think I'm always reading. I'm always listening to things that I can talk to other people about. So I must be honest. I don't listen to terrestrial radio anymore. I cannot listen to FM radio anymore.
That's exactly why I asked, because people ask me that, and I can't do it.
Well, I seriously haven't. I mean, I didn't even use to do air checks of our show.
No.
Because for at least the last 12, maybe even 14 years, I've been listening to podcasts almost exclusively. And it's just, there's so much good stuff. I mean, there's terrible stuff out there, but that counts for anything. You know, there's rubbish on YouTube, but there's some amazing, amazing stuff on there.
Yeah.
Are you still doing those videos where you take people up in the air and interview them? Because I think that's such a like corner of the market that you can only do if you actually have the talent to interview people and
fly,
and you can fly at the same time. I mean,
that was one of the reasons that I did my helicopter licenses, because I think it was going to be cooler to do it in the helicopter than an airplane. So to give you an idea, I was taking people up. I still wanted to take you up at some stage as well, where I could interview people like carpool karaoke in the airplane and show them parts of Joburg that you've never seen.
That's amazing. I love that.
But the problem was you got to find a sponsor for something like that, because it's not cheap to hire an airplane or a helicopter, you know, just off the bat like that.
By the way, were we talking about Ponty the other day?
Yes.
Yes, and we were talking about how that, you know, so he flew me over Ponty not so long ago.
So you could see right into the core.
We could see right into it, but we didn't see all the trash that's supposedly at the bottom. Apparently they've cleaned it up.
Yeah, apparently they have.
That's disappointing. I really thought that was a tourist attraction.
With all the trash.
Up to the 7th floor, just filled with...
It was such a good story.
With
Nigerian drug lords.
Oh no, they're still there.
Prostitution.
That's also still there.
Okay.
That's all over Joburg now. It's not just at Ponty. It's exciting.
Sure. No, I can't imagine. I can't imagine it being anything else, because literally drove past there the other day and it's crazy.
But that was quite cool to be able to take somebody to fly over there and to see what it looks like down at the bottom.
I used to go there.
Really?
When I was little, my biological father lived there.
Oh, you did mention that.
When it was in its
Ponty.
in its heyday. Yeah.
Well, it used to be the coolest address in Joburg.
It was like the number one spot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Definitely not now.
Oh,
Definitely,
hell no.
definitely not now.
No, I remember people who were substantially older than me talking about how cool Yeovil was. Rocky Street.
Yeah.
You know, they used to, that was where they used to go out. And I remember hearing this as a kid and thinking, well, it sounds like a cool place. Drive past there now, it's like The Walking Dead.
No.
The last time I was in Yeovil, I went for not Yeovil, there was another suburb. Hillbrow, Yeovil, Berea, somewhere there. I went for a belly ring.
Oh, wow. How long ago was this?
I had just started at the SABC. I was 20,
okay.
21.
That's where you went for your, how really rebellious of you.
No, well, the thing is, I went with a bunch of girls and I watched the guy next to me getting a piercing. And then the girl went for her belly ring and she passed out.
Oh, geez.
And I said to them, I'm just going to get something out of my car. And I drove away.
Oh, so you didn't get it? Oh,
no.
You chickened out. That's all right.
Rocky Street. And
yeah,
I mean, all those places were just, that was the place to be.
I mean, you think about it, even the places that we used to go to, 15, 20 years ago, I don't know that I'd go there again in a hurry.
Well, I mean,
it's amazing how quickly things move on.
I used to go to masquerades in town and Caesar's Palace.
Sure. Are you sure these were all clubs, not just the swingers thing you got into for a while?
No, I started going to clubs when I was in high school already.
But
yeah,
you started Caesar's Palace. There was a club there.
Yeah,
I don't.
Caesar's Palace.
I think
the Chippendales were.
All I know about Caesars is Emperors, which became Caesar. I don't know, that East Rand Hotel near the airport. That's all I know.
Oh no, this was like near the Cauldron Center.
I'm not as well versed, but it is. I mean, it's curious, like how these things change, because whatever's the place to go now, wherever people go now, that within a couple of years, it's
gone.
Yeah, and then you get these sad. Like a friend of mine is a big raver.
Oh yeah,
and he always posts these very depressing things about how his favorite venues that he used to go to for like 48-hour raves are now parking lots. It's so sad.
Prime example, Hatfield Square.
Yeah.
Hatfield Square used to be the place to go to, and everything was there. Now it's flattened.
There's nothing there?
I think there's not hotels,
really?
Dormitories. What do you call it? Hostels.
Do you remember there was a place there? I mean, there was obviously the notorious drop zone.
Yeah.
Where literally if you were badly behaved, the bouncers would drop you down the stairs of drop zone, which was like a long flight of outside stairs that were made of metal. And you'd find people at the bottom, and they would just be there from the previous weekend, you know, like reduced to being a vegetable or whatever. And then there was a place which I only think is funny because of its name. It was next door. It was a German place. Do you remember? It was called Herr Gunther's House.
I don't remember that.
No, it was.
Yeah, Gunther's Zapfhaus. Yeah,
It was right below. Was it below?
it was right underneath. It was like
yeah.
if you couldn't get into that place,
You go
you'd
to
go to
Gunther's,
that one.
yeah.
I have a recurring dream of this one place. It's like a restaurant nightclub. And I'm always walking in, getting checked by the bouncers,
Yeah.
walking out, trying to pretend I'm sober or hide drugs in my pockets.
Well, that's not I hate to tell you, it's not a dream. Those are post-traumatic stress disorder situations in your case.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a couple of people here commenting on some things. Chris says, Congo Chris, at least on a podcast, you don't have to take call-in shout-outs. Hi, this is Karen from De Aar. I just want to say happy birthday to my big boy Quibus, who's turning 10 today. Mommy and Daddy love you. No.
A shout out.
No, unbelievable. Apart from quality podcasts, I really love that they don't have to break away from annoying jingled ads. I don't miss those. Although I miss the ads where they used to actually have songs. I mean, we often joke about those when Gord is on. Because he comes on and then he remembers all of these.
Oh, you mean like,
the ads that had songs in them. Where you
start singing along.
Yeah, would you know them from your childhood? So I'm trying to think of one now.
There's an uncle in the furniture business, Joshua Dahl.
Exactly,
There's
everybody knows
rumble
those.
in the middle of the jungle.
That's
at
the
village
Rascals.
of the cheeky rascals.
See?
Sneak their fruit from the magical tree. They take you to
Welcome
the
to
factory.
Nostalgia this morning.
All right, we've got lots of good stuff on the way still. Alex Caige is with us and Leigh-Ann Mole, and we've got Dr Hanan joining us in a short while. We're also going to be, disabled Tracy, who we've had on the show before.
Yes.
Yeah. She's got I can't even remember what the exact disability is, but she's going to be on with us later. She's like our, I don't know, queen of physical disabilities.
We
or
had her
whatever
in studio, didn't we?
I don't know how we would have got
Or
that.
no.
Not with those stairs.
No, that's what I was thinking. I was just looking now.
It is
to look
wheelchair
at the
friendly.
access.
This place isn't. The last place wasn't wheelchair friendly
No,
either.
it wasn't.
No, but she just got to start at the top and she can wheel all the way down because it is a long way down, yeah.
Oh, no, but there's stairs here, which is a problem.
Oh, right. Okay.
They're not too much. I mean, my mum's in a wheelchair. It's not too much of a problem. We've taken her up and down like 2 or 3 flights before.
Sure.
But you've got to have 4 guys lifting up
you
the
need-
chair.
Well, we did that a couple of times because we had people come in at the previous studios and we had that flight of stairs.
Yeah.
You know, you make a plan, but it's not great.
No, not great for the person in the chair.
So we
either.
got her joining us a little bit later on as well. She's in Cape Town, but she'll be online with the rest of us. And Alex, you should get Mavericks to sponsor your flying interviews.
That sounds like a plan.
I
We were talking about Mavericks the other day, weren't we?
we were on Friday.
Don't they still put those ads on planes?
They do.
So they can put it on yours.
That's a great idea.
Girls.
I wanted to start an OnlyFans. I must tell you, I wanted to start an OnlyFans with interviewing chicks like this and doing things inside the plane. And I thought Mavericks could legitimately sponsor it. I thought it would be great.
Absolutely.
I think it would be amazing.
That
Doing
would be
things
so much fun.
inside the plane.
I think my mom might be
Titties-
watching this.
titties
I don't
at
know.
30,000 feet.
That'd be great.
That'd be the name for the channel.
Tune
I don't
in
know if they'd
Tokyo.
allow you.
Tune in Tokyo.
Yeah, it would be. Well, I mean, listen, that would be interesting.
But they've invited you to come and join them, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. So I posted a thing on Friday because Mavericks, we have this kind of ongoing conversation with Mavericks. And they, I find it funny every year with the State of the Nation address. The only reason I even know that it's the State of the Nation is because Mavericks post these videos where they dance on this balcony outside their building. All their girls are in bikinis, looking as the soldiers are marching below. And I'm
yes.
and I said to you, this is why I think we live in a free country, is because of things like that.
Yeah.
If you can have the soldiers getting ready for the president's big, important, fancy, State of the Nation address, but you've also got these strippers up on a balcony going, woo, as the president drives past. I think that's a sign that we're actually a free country. Anyway, I posted this thing about those horrible red boots that everyone's wearing.
Oh, those
Hollywood
enormous
nowadays.
cartoonish things.
And I said, this is not cool. This is stupid. And the people who do this are just trend followers. They're not trend setters because it was started by someone, but that person has disappeared into now it's all these celebrities are trying to look important. Anyway, they reply, Mavericks, and say, thanks, Anna Wintour. Why don't you stay in your lane? Fashion is not your thing. so I reply to them. I'm like, clothes aren't your thing. What the hell are you commenting on this for? So then they invited me to some event. They're going to be doing some beach party or something. So I said, I'll come.
Okay. Very good.
That'll be fun. Anyway, Melville is still kick-ass now. Now, Leigh-Ann, you're going to have something to say about this because producer Ryan says it's kick-ass, but you've got to keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, you do.
Well, first of all, I haven't been to Melville in ages, but you
I lived there,
yeah.
and do you know that I've been, what's it now, February, 1st of March, I moved out last year.
Yeah.
And it was somebody who wanted to move in desperately.
Yeah.
Shit, I hope I can talk about this. He's an eviction attorney.
Oh, shit.
But he's
Are
still
you having
there.
trouble
He's
evicting him?
Well, he was supposed to buy the place a year ago. He's still there paying occupational rent.
I think that's bad advertising for an eviction attorney.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a risk taking him on and moving him in. You don't usually do that before transfer's gone through.
Mhm.
You know, only if it's like a few days or something. But because he's an eviction attorney, I thought
well,
no. And even my transferring attorney said he would never sully his own face in court under his own, practice and his field of expertise. Yeah, but no, he's still there.
Wow.
So yeah, but I've got another kick-ass lawyer from Bowman's involved now.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah,
It's expensive though. Lawyers are very expensive.
well, rightly so.
You think so? I don't know so much. I think a lot of them are on the take.
But you know the law so well that you can start screwing people around
Yeah.
like he's doing to you now because you can't do anything about it.
That's the thing.
Jeez.
And now we're playing games, cutting off water, not paying bills. we're now playing games. He's not mowing the lawn. We've put up for sale signs outside. Oh, fuck. It's exhausting.
Just not give somebody a spare key. Give a stripper a spare key
I've
from
got a
Mavericks.
key.
No, well, they give a stripper a key and just say, "Come, you want to move in? Yeah, go there."
Well, that's what a
No,
plumber was telling me
You
the
need
other
someone
day.
a bit rougher than that. You'll need.
He got a whole lot of bouncers to go and live in one
Yeah,
property.
That's a good idea.
They just moved in.
We know
started
some,
eating their
we know
food
some
out of
people
their
who,
fridge.
who run venues. We could send their bouncers to live there.
There
That
we go.
would be a solution.
Shame. He's
I think
actually a very respectful guy, and he's running his office from there. And the problem is, me, I'm such an empathetic person.
Yeah.
That's why I've had to get a lawyer to step in now, because I've been kind to him for a year.
No ways.
On the
Sure.
subject of places people go, Hot Knot says Port Elizabeth is still shite.
Oh dear.
But you DJ'd there quite a lot.
I used to love going down there. It was always fun, but the most fun part of it was like people in PE getting upset when you'd say rude things about PE, which is so silly because I don't get upset when people say shit things about Joburg or Pretoria. It's not important. I don't consider it part of my identity,
But they don't really say shit things about the places you've lived, though.
Well,
It's not like you live in Krugersdorp or Edenvale, the places that get slack.
Centurion, do me a favor. It's not like, look, I went shopping yesterday. I had to go and buy like a bread for lunch or whatever. I despair about listen, I'm no oil painting, all right, but these people, there were people walking in the shops that I was just horrified that these people were let out of their houses. Just really, really awful looking. This one woman was she was shaped like a Johannesburg bottle.
Oh.
She had a head, a very, very small head, and then her whole body went out like this. Wider at the bottom than she was at the top.
That's
Very strange.
It's called pear-shaped.
No, it's not. That wasn't even pear-shaped. There's no pear that's shaped like
It was Johannesburger shaped.
Yeah. Now, if a pear grew like this on a tree, they'd chop the tree down.
Get rid of the whole tree.
But that's my point. Someone should chop that tree down.
Oh,
anyway. Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right. So Ryan says the best part of PE is the airport on the way home. What a shithole. I like the way he's getting all mouthy in the comments here while he's meant to be producing the show. Yeah, exactly. All right. So where do you want to go and what do you want to do with this flying thing?
All right. So, yes.
What can you tell us about your plans?
Going to be doing some humanitarian work up in Africa. That's where I'm going next. Yeah. So going to be doing stuff for, as I could say, it's for the UN World Feeding Program, Doctors Without Borders, Red Cross. Yeah, going to be working up in Africa. Yeah, so going to be leaving actually quite soon in the next month or so.
You got to be careful you don't get shot out of the sky there, though.
I'm kind of excited to see how hectic it can
Look
get.
at Leigh-Ann's face. She's like,
Oh my
what?
God. I just think of landing on these runways of sand.
So that's legitimately. So the training that we've been in, I literally finished my second last training session on Friday, where we've been learning how to fly I'm learning how to fly a new airplane. Quite a bigger airplane than what I'm used to. But there's one official airports.
Boast a bit. He did a flawless procedure.
Yeah, so the procedure that Gareth's talking about, I showed him a video where we have to do a fire drill, effectively, where one of the engines is on fire, and you have to shut the engine
You're making
down.
Leigh-Ann very nervous. She's not even in a plane right now, and she's shaking.
No, so that's the training that we do. We do it in the simulator, and then we go do it in the actual aircraft. So I'll be going to Mozambique at the end of this week to actually go fly the actual aircraft. But they can do just about any failure or any emergency that you can think of. So engine fires, hydraulic failures, all these kind of things. And you learn how to go through different procedures to recover the aircraft and actually still fly it. But on Friday, the last drill that I did was, was a fire drill where they actually set the engine on fire effectively. And you got to learn how to still handle the aircraft.
I do. This is where I start thinking, like, what am I doing with my life?
I mean,
don't you feel like such a loser when you hear about this? You're about to do this. You've already had a whole lot of fun in radio and everything else. So now you're going into like war zones to do really cool stuff that's important, that has value for the whole of humanity. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm making
doing
people
things
laugh
like
in the morning.
When was it? It was last winter on the show. I rolled my chair while we were doing the podcast over my scarf and fell on the floor. And I just think, I'm too busy just trying to live. I don't need to do extra stuff in Africa with a plane because stuff's going to go wrong for me.
No. I think you shouldn't be pushing out too far on your skis.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just started doing this training. Just signed my contract, and this unfortunate situation in the DRC happened where that South African Air Force Oryx was shot, right?
Oh yeah.
And my mom, my poor mom, she phones me immediately and she's like, "Have you signed the contract?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I've signed the contract, but don't worry,
She was very unhappy.
It's really far away from where it's actually where I'm going to be flying and everything." Meanwhile, my mom's probably not watching the show now, but meanwhile, our escape to where we are actually going to go fly initially is about 20 kilometers from there. Where we're actually going is 20 kilometers from where they had that incident going. So it's a different experience.
I feel so sorry for moms of pilots.
It's not a tourist mecca, in other words.
No,
it's definitely not. So the chief pilot actually phoned me after I signed the contract, and he said, "Listen, congratulations. It's really good that you're going to come out and do this and make a difference in the world. Just so you know, you're going to be seeing things that you cannot buy a ticket for." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "There's no tourist destination." I still Googled,
and some of it won't be very pleasant, I'm assuming.
No, definitely not. So I was speaking to a friend last night.
He's doing real world stuff while we sit here and talk nonsense every day.
But at least you guys are going to get me through it. I was speaking to a friend last night that actually has been in those areas as a dietitian, and she asked me yesterday. She's like, "Have you watched somebody die?" And I was like, "That's quite a hectic question to ask." She's like, "Cool."
But you wanted to do you wanted to work for Netcare flying their choppers for a while. So because you wanted to land on highways and help resuscitate
and I will
people.
I will still do it. I said,
why? No, that's just insane. I mean, I understand like there's an adventure thing, but why would you want to be around that kind of trauma?
I have this thing where I want to add value. And if you can save one person's life, yes, there are unfortunately going to be people while you're doing that's, I assume, going to, pass away. But if you can add value by saving one person's life, I think then you've done something good.
I fully understand. If I translated into animals, and when I was younger, I would do absolutely anything. Going into dodgy places to spay animals and
well, we've got a friend, Anna. She rescues like fighting dogs from these dog fight rings.
Yeah, I mean,
and she's this high. She's a little rocket, but you wouldn't think she was this dangerous woman. She goes busting into these things.
I feel safe going to Durban.
I know.
I could go into what's it, Florida Road?
Wherever.
Yeah, anyway, I could go there with our friend Anna there because she would do exactly that. She would go into these places, rescue dogs with these big bulky guys, and she would not care.
She's not frightened.
I have to bring him up again. That guy on TikTok, an older black man in America, he says white women and their animals.
Yeah.
And he had a picture of a woman stroking a moose in a parking lot. And he's like, "You see these white women? They'll do anything. Come here, little lion. Let me give you a bath."
That's so funny. Here's a good comment from Carl. He says, "Really nice to be part of Alex's last time on air." Oh, man. If a man and a woman from Funabale Park get divorced, do they stay brother and sister? Says Sean. That's a very philosophical question.
Or cousins.
Yeah.
Same.
There we go. Slippery Pickle says, are both parents the same? That's a good question in Funabale Park. Sure. Some really rough geographical hatred going on here. A lot of people climbing into PE in the comments as well. Leave that to me, please. That's my area of expertise. All right. So there are a few other things that Leigh-Ann wants to talk about today. And I woke up for some reason at, 3:15 this morning. I don't know why. Maybe I went to sleep too early. And I saw this thing on Instagram because, what do you do when you wake up at 3 in the morning?
Straight to the scrolling.
Yeah. So I saw this post. Someone had posted that they're busy editing Roald Dahl's books to make them more PC. And they're removing language that isn't inclusive or that's offensive. Now, to me, I mean, this is like saying to a Christian, we're going to edit the Holy Bible because we don't, that whole
all
chapter
the slaughtering.
about, all the slaughtering.
Killing of your children.
Pillar of salt. And,
but aren't they doing that? Don't the
they've done edits over the years,
yeah, but,
the King James version and so on.
What didn't the Church of England say they want to change God to them and they?
Yeah, that's something like that.
But I mean,
the majority of Christians will say, hey, don't touch our Bible.
Yeah.
Now, to me, as a child, Roald Dahl was like the Bible.
Yeah, sacred.
I could still recite some of the revolting rhymes and those that I tell you the story, the twits without even like blinch. I'll know exactly what's going on if George's Marvelous Medicine's put in front of me. But now they've taken out certain things because it's too offensive. And to me, this is sacrilege.
It is. So a lot of it involves physical appearances.
Oh.
So the word fat has been taken out.
Fat.
Yes. And the word ugly.
Fat.
So Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
I remember him,
is now described as enormous rather than fat.
Isn't that worse?
I would say
way worse.
I mean,
if I say, gosh, you're fat, that's not as bad as, gosh, you're enormous.
Yes, exactly. And then the word ugly has been culled as well. So in the twits, Mrs. Twit is no longer ugly and beastly. She's just beastly.
Which is again worse.
Again, it's worse.
Are you kidding me?
So why? So are they doing this because there's someone who's?
It's Puffin. The publishers.
I hate that.
They've had to hire sensitivity
Why doesn't Roald
readers.
Dahl's family sue them for millions because of this? I suppose they don't. Maybe they
Roald
don't.
Dahl's granddaughter's fat. She's a plus size model.
No, she's enormous.
Is she fat?
Oh, sorry, she's enormous. And wasn't his wife beastly?
Yeah, probably.
That's very, very rude.
So
okay,
and the witches as well. In the witches, there's a paragraph.
It's the witches. What are you going to make them sound better? Why are we doing this?
So it's about wigs for the witches.
Oh, because baldness is disability.
So in the witches, there's a paragraph that was explaining how the witches are bald beneath their wigs. And now it ends with a new line. There are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there is certainly nothing wrong with that.
No, come on, man.
I promise
people
you.
Are way too
Come
sensitive.
on.
And this is why. This is why radio now. If you had to try going to radio,
no, it's dead.
In previous editions of James and the Giant Peach, the centipede sings, "Aunt Sponge was terrifically fat and tremendously flabby at that. And Aunt Spiker was as thin as a wire and dry as a bone, only drier."
Yes.
Both verses have been removed, and in their place are the rhymes, "Aunt Sponge was a nasty old brute and deserved to be squashed by the fruit. And Aunt Spiker was much of the same and deserves half of the blame."
Now, you see, it's taking out that's really bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's rolling in his grave.
Well, I feel like the real losers here are not going to be those of us who read the real Roald Dahl. It'll be the people who are reading this version, and they'll grow up thinking that that's literature. But these publishers, who are probably the most, just the most blancmange, milksop. You can imagine the kind of
like
people who are in
station
publishing
managers.
now. Yes, correct. But the people who are in publishing now are probably the most dreary people of all time, who are just desperate to be loved by everybody. And they don't want to other anyone because they were probably othered because they're fat and unattractive and enormous.
Yep.
And probably have horrible, sour, milky smells between the folds.
I pictured that and I almost tasted it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and lots of gender neutral terms have been put in place.
Of course.
So I didn't know you couldn't say female anymore.
I didn't know that either. It's a problem, is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
So Miss Trunchbull in Matilda, once a most formidable female, is now a most formidable woman.
Oh, come on.
Oh no!
What's the
ways.
difference?
I think
What's the
it's got
difference?
to do with transgender stuff.
You know, the way people are doing the most unbelievable mental contortions and verbal contortions around a population that maybe amounts to not even 1% of the human population. And everybody's jumping to try and avoid upsetting these people is just, it's beyond words. And it's hugely patronizing.
Yeah.
That we must infantilize and treat these people like children.
I mean, if I say to you Oompa Loompas,
Oh, yeah.
they were
those
small.
little things that worked for Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
You would say they're small men. You can't say that. You have to say they're small people.
So
Oh,
yeah,
no
but I
ways.
remember when, but do you remember about 4 or 5 years ago, they started rewriting Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because
The word
the
dwarf.
dwarf community supposedly was upset. I mean,
So is it Snow White and the Seven Little People?
I don't know what it is now, but I don't want to read that. And I would hate to be a parent right now having to go through.
No, I can't.
Thank God my versions of these books, which I think I still have somewhere, they will be the originals. And they'll be more valuable than ever before.
Definitely. But it's good. It's making the whole situation worse.
Yeah.
About people trying to be woke and be.
I mean, for
PC.
instance, we're talking about it now, and I've mentioned all of these horrible words like fat and female.
Yeah.
Because of what they've done. It's drawn much more attention to it.
I just don't know what is their end game? Do they just want to make everything so soft that children grow up thinking that the world is just full of rainbows and unicorns? Because at some point they're going to deal with death, they're going to deal with poverty, they're going to deal with danger, difficulty.
Wars,
something horrible is going to happen
earthquakes.
to every one of us. Now, if you are completely unprepared for that, and by the time you reach adulthood, it's just going to be so much worse for you.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. This actually kind of gives room for movies and books that are a little bit more controversial, so to speak, to be more successful, which is kind of a cool thing about it. Deadpool's new movie, for example, I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be the first Marvel movie that's rated R18. And it's probably not even R18. It's just woke. Or not. He probably just mentions female.
Here's Dr. Hanan. We could get him to weigh in this. I mean, Doc, first of all, are people who are raised in cotton wool by parents who are helicopter parents, these people are not prepared for the reality of life. Am I being old school about this, or is there something to that these overprotected children are going to be a disastrous crop of adults?
No, I always say, 50 years ago, anxiety just did not exist. And the reason why is because 50 years ago, when little Quibus comes up to Dad and says, Dad, I'm anxious, Dad would just send him back into, doing whatever he was doing. Yeah, completely. And these days, little Cliffy having anxiety, and we send him to OT, play therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, physio, the social worker, the school psychologist. And what ends up happening, these professionals take away the children's anxiety. But something magical happens. The child doesn't learn how to manage the anxiety themselves. So when the child turns 12, 15, 18, 25, they're looking for all these external means to take their anxiety away, as opposed to learn how to manage it themselves. So what happened then was that we had no choice but to learn to step up and adapt and level up and deal with anxieties. And these days, it's just too quick. It's just too easy to eliminate your anxiety. You've got social media, you've got the immediate gratification. Back then, what did we have to do? 25 years ago, when we felt anxious, we'd have to just get on with it and get on with our lives. These days, if you're feeling anxious, all you've got to do is press a button, scroll up and down for the next 45 minutes and let that take your anxiety away.
Or worse, Doc, or worse, someone just prescribes a bunch of pills to numb you and turn you into a zombie.
For sure. for sure.
Yeah.
So,
All right. I would love to get into this a little more, but I'm very conscious of your time, and he's got to see a bunch of nutcases today. So let's just get
Starting, well, he's starting with 3 right now, to be fair.
no disrespect to your actual patients, but these 3 in this studio are nutcases. I can speak for myself anyway. So, Dr. Hanan, there's something that I wanted to ask you about, because I've said a few horrible things about Madonna lately, not because I'm not a Madonna fan or because I'm ageist or because I'm sexist. I've seen a lot of women age gracefully, and I've said many times on this show how I could find them extremely attractive, no matter how old. If they allow themselves to look human, this Madonna thing has got everybody talking. So it's not just me, and I want you to address this from a psychological point of view. This quest for eternal youth, because it seems to me it's not just Madonna. You know, Leo DiCaprio was spotted with a model who's really young. He's almost 50. It's weird how these things bother people, and sometimes we have double standards, right? Maybe you can help address some of these things, this quest for eternal youth, and at the same time, the constant sort of monkey on your back for most of us about getting older, and what is appropriate here, because again, I think we've lost our way as a species.
Right. So we know from research, looking young, feeling young, acting young is actually rewarded by society. It means you have the energy, the strength, the physical well-being, the ability to bear children. You have ample time and ample ability to gather resources for survival and for future functioning. And that's why youth is associated with good, and growing old is associated with bad, in inverted commas. That's why, you know, when we see somebody, we go, "Oh my God, you look so young," and that's is seen as a compliment. If you turn to somebody and go, "Oh my God, you seem so experienced," or "You look so experienced and insightful," that is not going to be taken as a positive thing. So society for forever, and it's based on social psychology, has really rewarded looking young, acting young, being young, physically being able to function, be fit, whilst the opposite is true for getting old. And that's why we all strive to, even though our bodies might not be able to carry us as it did 10, 15, 20 years ago, we want to appear as though we are able to still function as we did 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. In cosmetic surgery, I mean, what's a better quick fix at a cosmetic surgery?
Mm-hmm. But that can become obsessive, right?
Yeah, of course. When anything that you depend on that is not aligned with the reality of what it is can be a problem, because you're chasing a hamster wheel that's one step faster than you. You know, you can look younger, but you can try look younger, but your age will always catch up with you. It's like I saw this comedy show, and this comedian was saying these 60-year-old women that have plastic surgery, they think they look young, but they actually look like 60-year-old woman who's had plastic surgery. So it's not like they look young. It's just their appearance.
Well, what about these people who say she's an adult woman. She's allowed to do whatever she wants. It's her body. It's her choice.
Whatever makes her happy.
And whatever makes her happy. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I went for this operation because I had a big, ugly nose and I wanted to change my nose. And if it does make them happy, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Absolutely. So it's a really powerful question that you're asking, because you're saying, well, what's the fine line between it being healthy versus it being unhealthy? So if it serves a purpose and it doesn't affect your other elements of your life, so I teach a system that allows people to judge whether whatever you're doing is an obsession in an unhealthy way versus maybe a reliance on something in a healthy way. And the way I do it is there are particularly 14 we call anchors in life. And there are 8 main ones and 6 sub ones. 8 main anchors, 8 main elements of your life is career, financial security, family, friends, romantic, diet, exercise, and sleep. So career, financial security, family, friends, romantic, diet, exercise, and sleep. And if whatever it is that you're doing enhances those anchors, then go ahead and don't base your judgment on what society thinks, or for that matter, what anybody thinks. But if whatever it is that you're doing is decreasing from the quality of those 8 non-negotiables, then what you're doing is not worth it. It's considered an unhealthy obsession. So, for example, if now I'm spending X amount of money that's actually decreasing my financial security on cosmetic surgery, it's just not worth it. If whatever I'm doing is decreasing the quality of my relationship with my partner, it's just not worth it. So if whatever it is that you're doing, your patterns of behavior is enhancing those 8 major anchors, then what you're doing is spot on. Don't listen to anybody.
Well, maybe,
and what anybody.
I mean, maybe for Madonna, because her career is entertainment, she's got tons of money. She has, children who are grown up now. I don't think a partner is a big part of her life anymore. She's probably more self-involved than anything else. Maybe she should be spending her money on this. What would you rather have her do with her money?
100%. And Gareth, people are so judgmental. People are so judgmental. People are going to judge her whether she did it or whether she didn't do it, whether she had cosmetic surgery or not. People are going to judge her anyway. So it doesn't really matter what people think. But if it enhances her 8 main anchors, then why not? What's the problem? What's the problem? I mean, you wear nice clothes, you brush your hair, you spend money on material things, you spend money on enhancing your appearance. What's the big deal? What's the big deal?
So are you telling me that we should leave Madonna alone?
No, listen, it's a great entertaining topic. I mean, we should keep on talking about it because it's fun. But in terms of whether it's valuable to her, if she was sitting in front of me, I'd go, tell me. So since you've gotten the plastic surgery or the cosmetic surgery, how's your career, financial security, family, friends, romantic, diet, exercise, and sleep has gone? And if she said to me, Hanan, all those 8 anchors, we're doing well, it's on the up, I say, good for you. Don't listen to what anybody else thinks. You did the right thing.
Cool. There we go. There's the word from someone who can actually talk about these things with expertise. I mean, Leigh-Ann, you're booking in straight after this.
Yeah, I've got
Botoxy thingy. Yeah. Redoing
People are so judgmental. People are so judgmental. It never ceases to amaze me. People will judge you whether you look old or young, fat or thin. People always have an opinion. People always.
How can we improve?
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we improve? I mean, do you think we need? Do you think we need some help in here?
I think we need to ask Ryan for a filter for your guys' cameras, just so you know.
Yeah. Look at this. Terrifying. Tell you what. No, Doc, it isn't a morning where I don't wake up and go, I should look better than this. I really believe that in my heart. Well,
I told you once that I reached the age where I realized every time I looked in the mirror, that was the best I was going to ever look.
Oh my God, it's true, right?
It's not funny, but you know what, guys? Like the whole notion of like self-acceptance and just accept yourself as you are. It's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard. We all try to improve. And we all try completely. We all try to improve. Okay. We all go to the gym to improve. We all wear nice clothes to improve. We all try to improve our relationship. Life is dynamic, and we all try to level up. If we don't level up, life levels up against us. So this whole notion of accept things as you are, we call those people lazy. And we call those people unproductive, and we call those people stuck. You always want to get better and improve.
Well, I mean, there's also this argument, maybe we can carry this on another day, but, the idea that actually we should be treating old age and experience and wisdom with a lot more respect. It seems a very Hollywood thing. I wouldn't even say it's a Western thing. It's a Hollywood thing to just worship youth and for us to have so little respect for age. I mean, throughout human history, we've kind of had this, I think, mostly guiding principle that the village elders were the people you went to for advice. They were taken seriously. We had respect for age. And it almost feels to me like Hollywood's turned that on its head. And really, like, the younger you are, it doesn't matter how inexperienced or dumb you are. Like, there's so many people in Hollywood who are really, really stupid. And they're taken more seriously than some of the older ones.
Gareth, to your point, and it's a really important point to make, because a lot of people say, but Hanan, I want to improve, but I don't have the financial means. I don't have the resources to go and get cosmetic surgery. I am going to grow old. And to those people, I say, listen, there's a cost and value to being young, and there's cost and value to getting older. Whatever position you pick in life, there's always a sacrifice and there's always value. So you just got to focus on the value of getting older, the experience, the insight, the wisdom, the hindsight, the foresight, the ability to project 17 steps forward, which you couldn't do 20 years ago. Those are the things that you should focus on, and focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't.
On that note, we're going to close off the first hour. Thank you, Doc. We will see you in a week.
Nice to see you. See you then, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers,
There's Dr. Hanan. And just so you know, we're doing something new with Dr. Hanan called Unstuck. So if you have an issue with someone that you need resolved, you want to join us live on the show for a free mediation session, he's prepared to do like a Judge Judy and sort it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We just got to find people who are brave enough to actually bring their story to the show.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Like maybe I could bring the guy who I'm trying to sell my house to.
maybe you don't need a lawyer. Maybe what you need is a psychologist.
Dr. Hanan.
Yeah, here we go. But what's cool about this is also if, you consider that sometimes your problem is so big and you're looking around and there's nowhere that you think you can solve this problem. Here's where you bring it. So let us know. contact@cliffcentral.com. You are allowed to be anonymous for this, by the way. So we don't necessarily have to put your face and your name in it if it's something you want to keep to yourself. But if there's someone you have an issue with at work, a relationship issue, money issue, that's always a big problem for people. Bring it. We'll sort it out for you. All right, all of that and more on the way in the next hour. Don't go anywhere. cliffcentral.com. It is a Monday morning. It's the 20th of Feb. We've got Alex Caige and Leigh-Ann, and we're in the studio live this morning. Let us know what's on your mind. You can drop us a message in the comments section on YouTube. Also like and subscribe and blah, 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 all that other stuff. You know what to do.
This week on the AutoTrader podcast.
So what are you choosing? I think really the ultimate thing to say there is it just depends on like what is your situation. But hybrids, from an entry point of view in terms of the capital, is always going to be...
Well, I think the plug-in hybrid is kind of a sensible route to go if you're not entirely convinced. Go for a plug-in hybrid because you can use the electric drivetrain of the car only to do things like going to the shop, school runs. And if you've got a long distance travel, the internal combustion engine vehicle, or should I say engine, kicks in. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
That's right. And you can also catch George here on this show on a Friday morning, right at the end of the show. Got Leigh-Ann Moll, we got Alex Caige. We are all sitting in studio this morning talking nonsense, and we want to hear from you in the comments and also all the likes and subscribes and so on. So do that too. Got an interesting voice note here from somebody. This is, by the way, this is on a weekday. And Sean has this to say. Listen to this. Why is it not playing? God damn it. You can never get these things to work properly when it's me. Hang on a second. How irritating.
At least you admitted it's you.
No, so who else's fault is it? I can't blame anyone else. Let me just see if I can get this right.
What I love is our producer, Ryan, he was like, you got the voice note? Gareth said,
Yeah.
But I go, I got it.
No, but I have to change all these settings, and I just,
Life's a bitch.
you know,
Technology.
God, it's so irritating being me. I don't know why I have to put up with this here. No, it's not playing. Forget it. Anyway, Sean sent this voice note of this guy. He's pulled over by the cops and he was drinking first thing in the morning.
Oh, like
on a weekday.
physically drinking in the car.
He had quarts of beer in the car with him. You know, we have a very tough life here in South Africa. People have coping mechanisms that are not always the best.
I was sitting in a shopping center parking lot once. I was waiting. Oh, it was in between appointments with the optometrist, etc. And this car pulled up around where I was. I was parked far away from everyone under a tree. And this car came speeding in on like two wheels and
Jesus,
spinning around. And it was in the afternoon, early afternoon. And this guy got out the car, and so did his wife or girlfriend and child.
Oh,
His
wow.
little child.
Okay.
They didn't realize I was in my car, and the little boy took a wee against my tire.
Nice people.
Nice people.
Oh, wow.
This is great.
And as he got out, he pulled out these armfuls of cans of beer and went and threw them in the bin while he was sipping another one.
Oh,
Wow.
this is recycling.
Yeah, at least he's responsible.
Yeah, there we go.
And you think, do you take down the number plate and make a call? No, it's not gonna
This is
help.
like the opposite of what we were talking to Dr. Hanan about with these people who are overprotective of their kids. This parent is absolutely the other side of that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, this kid, let the child just see all the shit things at once.
Starting young.
Yeah. So a few things to talk about this morning and a few things that we probably have to get into. I mean, you might have talked about irresponsible. You think you might have broken a rib?
I think I broke a rib yesterday.
Oh no, you would know. Seriously.
No, because I've done it before, and I think either that or the cartridge is gone.
What did you do?
So we went to a bride, a friend's house yesterday. She just moved into a new place, and there's a trampoline there. So I was like, when I can do a trampoline. Her kid was there, and I thought, well, let me just go jump with the kid. And he was like, Uncle Alex, try to do a backflip. And I was like, yeah, I can do a backflip. But it was one of those cases of you jump and you go halfway and you're like, maybe this is not such a good idea. And yeah, I managed to, my head between my arsehole, like literally, it was that I folded in half. It was literally, so yeah, and I didn't hurt my neck or anything else. My ribs. I'm just like, what the hell has happened?
But I've done it before. I was lying on my stomach on the bed, like reading, with my hand on my chin in my hand. And
this is not a position most people would injure themselves.
No. And I had a cough at the time, like a bit of a cold. And I coughed and I broke a rib.
I'm sorry.
Laying on the bed.
Just lying there reading a book.
Oh
and there's nothing you can do about it. It stays there for
so
weeks.
I couldn't understand what the pain was because it hadn't happened to me before.
Yeah.
Went for an x-ray and then they were asking me if I'd been beaten. And I was like, no, I was just reading a book on the bed.
It must have sounded like what a bad cover story.
I know.
Okay, well.
I saw this comment, Slippery Pickle, saying it's called a full scorpion. That's literally what I look like. I look like a scorpion. I folded in half.
Congo Chris says, be honest, beers were involved. No, we don't drink beers. I wasn't at this particular one, but Alex has often done stupid things when he's had a few drinks.
Whose fault is that? Who taught me how to drink tequila?
I may have.
Exactly.
I may have. All right. A typical case of someone attempting to behave younger than their actual age. So there we go. That's from Carl.
That was definitely me yesterday.
Yeah. Matthew says reading is a dangerous sport these days. It is.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Especially Roald Dahl books now.
Yeah. So bad for your brain.
All right. So a few things apparently, and I know a lot of people are going to be very upset about this. Adele and Ed Sheeran won't be able to perform at King Charles's coronation, I'm kind of relieved. It's not the sort of event that I would expect to hear Ed Sheeran or Adele at.
Well, he asked for them
He did?
specifically. Yeah.
Really?
Imagine that phone call. Hello, how do you do? Here's the king. Mind if you sang a song of my coronation?
Mm.
And what Adele said, no, I can't be bothered, actually. I'm going to be drinking down at pub.
Well, Ed Sheeran's like, he's literally got a show in Texas or something.
Oh.
But then people were saying, why doesn't he just hop on a private plane? It's possible to be, almost in two places at once these days. Adele said she's also busy, but everyone's checked out her schedule and apparently she's not.
I just don't want to go.
There's like nothing after the March the 25th.
I don't like this coronation thing. It's not really my thing.
But there are loads of famous people that are going to be there.
Oh,
But apparently, I like the way this is phrased. Meanwhile, Lionel Richie is close to agreeing, as are the Spice Girls. Although
the Spice Girls.
The organizers have yet to confirm whether Victoria Beckham will appear. She has vowed to never sing in public again after suffering years of ridicule over her voice.
Gee whiz.
But is there something going on with Posh Spice and I'm so out of it with
I have no idea.
Celebrity
And
gossip.
Beckham.
Yeah, isn't there Marriage on the Rocks or something
Oh.
there's something going on there. Someone told me and I kind of pretended to listen. If someone knows, if you know, drop us some info in the comments here. And then while we're talking about King Charles, I don't know if you've seen it, but Gray says, if you've seen the South Park Meghan and Harry episode?
No.
We demand our privacy.
Oh, yes. They come in
It's
with these like
Hilarious.
toying
Yeah, so
signs.
they're on a Canadian TV show, and all the Canadians just have their mouth bouncing on top of their head.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. We're from Canada. And they call him the Prince of Canada. They don't say it's Harry explicitly, and they don't call her Meghan. It's the wife. And she goes on the show with him, and the guy goes, so, you've just written your new autobiography called Where? So tell them where I use where.
So every now and then, after I have copious amounts of
In fact,
tequila.
people who listen to the show will know about where, because I sometimes say that.
Well, Gareth says he'll hit me with a where anytime I try to get a bit of an emotional Alex, because he also says I've got like 6 different personalities. So
There are four
there's 4 different ones. And whenever I try to get a bit of an emotional, because he doesn't have really much emotions to give, Gareth, and he will just hit me with a where. Then you just can't talk to
So
him
when he
anymore.
starts, he's like telling me about some painful thing that he's going through, or like a relationship that hasn't worked or whatever. I just look at him and go, where?
It's like the tiny violin.
And he walks away.
And then I walk away because I don't want anything to do with that.
Okay, so quick update, breaking news. David and Victoria Beckham. There's nothing going on.
Oh, so it's just
Sweet throwback
nonsense.
photos shared by the pair on Valentine's Day.
Ugh.
They're hitting the French slopes during a
So
lavish family getaway.
Why are people so keen to have everyone else be as unhappy as them?
Drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like a bit of that, hey?
Mm.
People like is You Magazine still a thing?
I asked a Zennial. Not Zennial.
Zennial.
What are they? Generation Z.
A
Z.
Oh,
Is that
Zennial.
what
Is
it's
that
called?
what you call
I
it?
don't know, but let's go with that. That
A
sounds good.
Zennial.
I quite like Zennial.
I said, do you guys still read magazines? And they burst out laughing. Definitely don't.
No, definitely not.
It's
It's only old.
Heat magazine's not around anymore either.
No, it's old ladies in rural towns that still read that stuff.
Die huisgenoot.
Yeah, huisgenoot
Mm.
In Drum.
and drum and
Rosa.
you. But it's only. I mean, that must be a shrinking pool. They
Yeah, it
can't
is.
have a lot of people who are still signing on.
My stepmom still, I think, gets the huisgenoot but leaves them in the toilet. Like it's it's toilet
is that
reading.
that's
It's Afrikaans.
And
tunnel
also,
thing,
if you run out of lavatory paper, it's quite useful. Although
I
it's
don't
probably
like
a
that
bit,
because I'm sure the paper absorbs
Farticles.
particles and sharticles.
I don't like that
No.
either.
As you
Sis.
turn the pages, you're releasing someone else's sharticles.
no, it's sis, man.
Mm.
Oh, that's great. Unbelievable. All right. Well, there's quite a lot to talk about here. So Roxine says, I think it's Roxine. What a name. Alex, you and Tanda was excellent on the afternoon drive. Okay. I entered the Maldives competition, was blessed to win the trip. You and Tanda rocked the afternoon. Okay. So basically, she's just saying thanks for the free holiday.
No, pleasure.
But she seems to have enjoyed the show as well.
That was a good show. I'm not going to lie to you. It was good working with Tando, and I've had the opportunity to work with some of the greatest people. Tando, Anele, all of them. And Tando's great. She's a good broadcaster. I think she's got one of the best voices in radio on air. I think her voice is incredible.
I think I've met her once or twice. I don't know about the show, but I mean, she seems sweet.
She's cool and she works hard. I can tell you that much now because she's also got her business Tabutis, like a lingerie and
nice.
pajamas wear and everything. So she works hard as a special. Yeah.
Very
My
nice.
ex actually modeled for them at some point. I think anyway. But no, she works hard, and Tando was great. It was great to work with her, and no regrets there. And also Anele, she was a lot of what I learned in radio comes from what I learned from Anele. She's brilliant.
No, she is, and she's supremely funny and talented, and I always have a good laugh when I'm around her. So here is a good question from Slippery Pickle. Says George Meany, does Victoria Beckham have any new cars coming out? Because she was like the design consultant on the Range Rover
Really?
Evoque. Yeah,
But I also don't get that. Also, now Pharrell Williams is like the lead creative in Louis Vuitton, isn't it?
sure, but it's really you put two brands together to make something bigger.
How do they
Suppose
work out
that's what it
for Kanye West and Adidas?
Well, not so well in the end.
Yeah.
Because Kanye is a complete raving lunatic, right?
Wow.
He needs to talk to Dr. Hanan.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean, listen,
No,
Dr.
beyond
Hanan doesn't
help.
have enough days in the week
Yes.
to spend with Kanye. You'd need months. In fact, I think you'd need some shock therapy,
Yeah, definitely.
old school
like
medieval.
lobotomy
Yeah.
type
You'd need some horrible, hardcore shit to happen there.
Oh, like Jeffrey Dahmer, where he drilled holes into the brain and then poured some kind of acid. To make them into zombies, something like that.
People are very into this Jeffrey Dahmer series. I haven't watched a single
You
second
need
of
to.
it.
No, you know what? I've already moved on. I watched yesterday, binge watched the only 3 episodes of Killer Sally, the bodybuilder.
Killer Sally, the bodybuilder.
Yes.
That
Wow.
sounds like it could be fun.
She killed her bodybuilding husband, who was
Jeez.
enormous.
How did she do it?
She shot him with a sawn-off shotgun,
Okay.
Wow.
That's
and
ballsy.
she still walked to another room to
That's ballsy.
expose what do you expel the shell and put in another one
Wow.
To come back and finish him off.
My kind of girl.
in the face.
And was she a bodybuilder
Yeah,
as well?
she was a
Oh, okay,
bodybuilder.
not my kind of girl.
You're not
She
a
was
fan.
like the,
Not when they're too masculine. It's not.
you know, the
nice.
peroxided hair,
Yeah.
totally from the 80s. And she
Oh,
used to do
okay.
like wrestling
Okay.
porn videos.
Oh wow.
yeah.
Now you've piqued Gareth's interest.
She was in the military as well. So she
Okay. No,
Oh,
I like
jeez.
that. You see, the combination of like a good-looking girl and a gun is a very hard thing for me to resist.
she's not good looking.
Oh, okay.
No, she's a brilliant body.
Okay, but
No,
yeah,
but
but face
yeah.
like a horse.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. Well, in other news,
beastly. We're allowed to
in
say
the
that.
UK, Douglas Murray's book, The Strange Death of Europe, as well as George Orwell's 1984, have been designated as books for counter-terrorist watch. It's unbelievable. Clown world. I've interviewed Douglas Murray on the TV show and on this show once or twice, and he is a superb writer. He's also one of the few people in the world who actually is able to make sense of what's going on in the world right now. And for them to do that to him is despicable. And I would be exactly on the opposite side of whoever made those rules. It's unbelievable. All right. Well, while we're speaking about clown world, China has this, yeah, I know you're laughing already. China has this huge problem because I don't think if you're, how you talk about if you're a human being, one of the worst places to be born would be Afghanistan, right? I mean, you just don't have a hope in hell of having a happy, balanced, especially if you're a girl born in Afghanistan, you're not even going to get to read. But if you're an animal to be born in China, it's exactly the same. I mean, you're just basically food, whether you're a cockroach or a bird or a dog or a pig or anything. You think about this. So yesterday, my sister's boyfriend was telling us at lunch about how the Romans used to have, in war, there was a thing called a flaming pig.
Yeah.
So what they would do is they'd put pitch on the back of a pig and then light the pitch, and the pig would squeal, but it would pretty much go in whatever direction you sent it in. So you'd send it straight into the enemy, and then it would set the enemy on fire.
Wow.
So the flaming pig, it was a war animal, and they used to have war dogs. The Romans had those spiked collars
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
big war dogs that were these mastiffs and things that would go in and just tear apart whatever they
Like the ones that you find on the Cape Flats.
don't know.
A little bit meatier. Those ones are quite skinny.
Anyway, these animals were war animals.
Yeah.
And the flaming pig would then squeal and run in exactly the day you just release it and it would go and it would just set people on fire. And wherever it's, because it would also sizzle a bit because of the fat.
It
And
would smell good though.
the smell is what drew them in.
If the enemies came over like zombies drooling.
But you think about how to be born as an animal in China now,
No,
you're just fucked.
It's game over.
Completely.
Really, it can't go well for you. And now they've built these 2 pig towers,
And
which it just sounds like this is just hell. Oh my god!
and I wouldn't even call
Oh,
them towers.
God.
They're enormous.
Oh, it's like apartment blocks just for pigs.
Yeah.
And they must live in such horrific conditions because the poo must seep from the top floor down to the. How many floors are these pig towers?
Okay, so
Oh,
first, just to tell you,
let me just put that on the screen. Oh, it's
there are
just horrific.
1.4 billion people who have been thrust into the spotlight because of their demand for pork. China is the biggest exporter and producer of pork, but most of it is consumed within China. So they've made these 2 now pork towers.
It is so
They're
legit. It's just full of pigs.
Skyscraper-sized towers full
Oh.
of pigs.
It's just awful.
Where they live out
awful.
their life in these high-rise buildings from insemination to maturity.
Wow.
26 stories. The one was constructed last year. The other one's almost ready to go. Filled with these high-tech cameras.
Look at that.
Apparently, they've got like a NASA-like command center. So they will be able to raise and slaughter 1.2 million pigs a year. So the reason
Jesus.
why it's controversial is because the West have stepped in and said, they asked a couple of pig farmers in America, would you do this or would you condone it? They said there's absolutely no way. Us hog farmers would never do that because the risk of disease is obviously huge. So China has said, well, it's so protected, it won't have diseases. But the thing is, once a disease is in there, you're never going to get rid of it. The place will have to be burnt to
But
the ground.
forget that. I mean, just imagine, again, people have a go at farmers often. But if you're a farm animal, up to when you get slaughtered, it's quite a nice life.
You fed
not
to the
too
fat,
bad.
yeah.
Oh, well, but I mean, you
Especially if
usually,
you're free range.
you free range. You see cows. Cows look genuinely happy. And then you think, well, I know what's coming. You don't.
Mm.
But like at the end, it gets a bit grisly. But I think that's true for humans. Like you don't want to die. And then one day you get hit by a truck or
Mauled in a car.
mauled or, something terrible happens. You don't know until then. You think, oh, my life's not so bad. If you grow up in this environment, if you were,
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, listen.
I would never. It's difficult for me because I'm an animal rights activist. Yet I enjoy meat and pork and all those
sure.
things.
And crackling.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm.
We all got hungry.
But I wouldn't eat meat from this place.
But
Would
you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't know where it's coming from. They don't. Where? I mean,
Yeah, you might not even know.
Maybe we already are.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Oh no! That's
But-
why you've got to
But
choose
chicken,
organic
and
food.
these batteries of chickens, and
It's not great.
you think about it. You order takeaway chicken or something. You don't know.
Mm.
You probably don't care. It's pure hypocrisy on our side. But when you actually see the circumstances, someone said to me once, if you want to become an animal rights activist or you want someone to take animals seriously and fight for them, just take them to a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Not only will they stop eating meat, but
Yeah.
they'll probably become violent, like fur coat destroying PETA members,
Mm.
And I suppose that's also why I don't want to go near those places, because I just know it'll put me off some of my favorite food. And we were talking just the other day about our like death row meal, what you'd have. And mine would be steak for
Yeah,
sure.
100%
For
Sam.
sure, right?
Yum.
I've taken people flying through the Heidelberg area,
Yeah.
and there's quite big what do you call them, cow pens, if you will, where
Yeah.
they have these slaughterhouses as well. And I've had people literally like nearly throw up from
Oh,
seeing
my word.
how many cows there are that get slaughtered on a daily basis. And you can see it from Google Earth. It's but I still eat it. I'm
Yeah.
like, guys,
Yeah, that's
I
the
love a
thing.
good steak. There's nothing about it.
It's a very difficult thing.
What are you gonna say?
I must say, I am eating less meat. I'm enjoying, vegetables are, they're not what they were in the 90s. The way you
What do you
can-
mean?
The way you can
You
cook
thought
them
they
now
were
and the
boring?
recipes. Yeah, I
Did
did.
you think 90s vegetables were boring? That's
Yes.
very patronizing. You explain why.
Like 80s, 90s vegetables.
What did you just have like butternut with like?
Well, that's what it was like. I mean,
The spinach was different back in my day.
But
Brussels
also our
sprouts.
parents,
and-
in the way of condiments, we just got like tomato sauce
Yeah, that was about it.
on everything.
But now
No.
you get meals that are just vegetables. Like the cabbage is the hero of the meal, or the cauliflower
no.
is the hero of the meal. So I'm eating that way a lot, more than I am eating meat. I must admit, I'm quite grossed out by a lot of things like chicken on the bone.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing the sinew and the tendons, and I can't
But you
dismantle
should
a
really
chicken.
cook it, Leigh-Ann, before you eat it.
But is that now over the years that's just become off-putting?
No,
Or has it always been like that?
I remember when I was about 25 years old, I bought a whole chicken, and the idea was to cut it up for book club and have chicken and salad.
You know,
And I broke off that first leg and I cried.
Oh, exactly.
I still can't dismantle a chicken.
I have to say that I'm not a big pork eater.
It's only
I'll do bacon.
bacon,
Yeah, bacon.
ham
I'm never going to
sometimes.
give up on bacon. That's the only thing that makes breakfast in any, like, a breakfast because
Yeah.
most days I don't eat breakfast.
And
But if I'm going to,
Christmas gammon,
better damn well
Yeah.
contain pork, and it better be
Pork's-
bacon.
Yeah, bacon and pork sausages. That's it.
I don't even know about the sausages. Hey, frankly, I
bought false
ugh.
ones the other day, the sausages.
False?
2 days ago from those plant love
Oh, right.
ranges. They were soya or whatever.
Ugh.
And they were encased in some kind of plant translucent
Root.
thing.
Oh, no.
And I was so put off by it.
But that's because it's not the real thing.
I had the first bite and I couldn't.
Oh, no.
No, it wasn't good.
Elon Chief Twat says all this talk about meat. Now I want meat, meat. I do. I to me, a meal is just not complete if you don't have meat in it.
So what is your last meal? Death row.
No, it would be steak for sure. Just a big steak. I'm going to take a long time to eat it, and I'm going to get the meat sweats. It's going to be one of those steaks. I'm going to be schwitzing while they're putting the electric voltage through me. It's going to be. In fact, I'll probably sizzle like those war pigs.
I'm such a the Scottish blood in me runs thick. I'm into like cottage pie and bangers and mash and shepherd's pie and things like that.
And haggis.
A good meat pie. No haggis for me.
Meat pie. No, is that that would be your last meal?
Yeah,
A
something
meat
something
pie.
with gravy, potatoes, and meat.
Oh, that's revolting.
No.
Yours?
I'll go for a steak as well.
No.
Proper like a home cooked meal.
No, I want like steakhouse.
I want like a turn and tender steak.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, yeah.
Solid 600-gram fillet.
The basting, the lot, it's going to be done perfectly. And I'll send it back 4 times if it isn't. I'll say, it's my death row meal. You get it right. Sorry, sir, you're costing the state too much
Basted
money.
or like seasoned
Pepper crusted.
pepper.
Listen,
Yeah.
I don't know why we're having this conversation first thing in the morning.
Very
It's,
hungry
it's
now.
not a healthy thing to do. No, it is. It's a weird thing too. Certain meals are just special, and other ones are like to live.
Yeah.
Some meals you eat just because you have to eat something to sustain yourself energy wise. Other things you really enjoy. To me, it's always more about the company than it is the food. I'm not a foodie. You
I know
that.
you're not.
No. Although we spent a lot of this morning talking about this, frankly.
It all started with those poor pigs piled to the hilts.
Well, I was thinking of what other animals we could use as war animals if we had to. Ostriches would be quite good.
Yeah, those are
They're
so
quite
brutal.
vicious. Hey?
emus as well. They'll pluck your eyes out.
I think an ostrich could be fashioned into a war
A
instrument.
Kangaroo, those really bulked up ones.
Yeah, there's some,
And they
some
box.
jacked kangaroos.
They box and kick.
That's a good one. Obviously, anything that I don't think crocodile's very helpful. You have to go up to them. They're not going to like
they're
advance
quite
on you.
lazy.
But if they get hold of you, it's game over.
Oh yeah, no, that's not a good way to die. Oof,
No,
being
Snap
eaten by a
crocodile.
crocodile.
it's the rolling under the water.
Yeah,
The drowning.
someone told me
Yeah.
that when they grew up, they lived near a river, and one of the neighborhood children was taken by a croc.
Jeez.
Like, now that's a hardcore story.
Oh.
You know, if you grow up and like, what happened to little Tommy? Oh, he went too close to the river and the crocs took him. That's a hardcore
And
story.
it happens.
Rather a croc than a hippo. Getting taken by hippos.
Apparently, yeah.
No, hippos aren't they like one of the biggest killers in Africa?
Yeah,
Besides,
but that's mostly because they stomp you to death, don't they?
No, they
no.
have you seen them crush a watermelon, for instance? That's your pip in there.
There's big mouths, huh? What was that ad with the chomp?
Chomp.
Obviously.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, so a lot of people making very funny comments here about what they would like for their last meal. Congo Chris says, if I'm being electrocuted by electric chair, I'd eat a giant bowl of uncooked popcorn and go. Gareth, imagine the executor is a vegan and he has to kill you after you've had your meal. That satisfaction on his face. Yeah. Yeah. I always moo at the cows, says Sean, whenever I drive past them and then yell out steak.
Oh.
Shame.
Oh, and there's so many channels on TikTok that I follow, which are these like really cute farm animal type channels. And I watch the new baby goats that they get and the new baby cows and the baby pigs.
You forcing yourself to be vegan by doing that.
Yeah, you're tormenting yourself. I think
Horrible.
that's a very valid observation. You should stop doing that. Although, I mean, looking at cute animals is very different to looking at the slaughterhouse. You know, the one
Piles
is,
of pigs.
yeah. So apparently there was someone who was declared dead, but they were actually still alive. And then they found out just in time. This woman, she woke up, right? She was declared dead, but apparently she was just very still. And I thought, wow, you know, that old trope of the husband whose wife just lies there. I mean, in this case, he's like, tell me about it.
It's happening. It actually sounds like archaic. Remember, that was why they would put a little bell in some coffins.
The term dead ringer.
Yes.
So you would have a little string
yeah.
and you'd have a bell in the cemetery. And then if you rung the bell, I mean, can you imagine how freaky it'd be to be walking through a graveyard and then you hear
bells.
So this woman had taken an overdose of barbiturates prescribed for epilepsy.
Okay.
And she had been seen, the medical team was called to her place wherever she was. They said, the general practitioner, the GP, they said, definitely dead. Put her in the morgue and the mortuary. And the mortuary phoned the emergency medical team and said, hello, cardiac arrest in the mortuary. This is not a joke. And this woman was waking up while she was having a heart attack.
Good Lord.
It happens a lot. And a lot of it's got to do with certain medications.
Slow the heart rate down. So you think
slow the heart rate
yeah.
right down and the pulse right down. It's basically a lot of sedating drugs. And we're taking these a lot now for anxiety and things like that.
Depression and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of these people may be declared dead when they're actually not.
Diazepam, which is Valium, Xanax, they can all cause people to be mistakenly declared dead. And that's why it's happening more and more now.
That's so hectic. Can you imagine?
Well, that'll make you depressed.
There was
while you're laying in the coffin waiting.
There was a pregnant teenager who was thought to have died from shock after she heard gunfire in her neighborhood. She was heard screaming within her tomb a day after her funeral.
Oh my God.
All she'd had was a prolonged faint.
Wow. Oh, that is, you've probably hit one of my worst fears. I've been buried alive.
So this
cremated.
This is a bit dark. But this is exactly why I want to get cremated, just in case I'm still alive. Like, get rid of me, done. Then you know you're not coming back.
Yeah, that's that. What
a fear.
So this happens more now because of these drugs than ever before.
Yeah, it happens more.
Terrifying. God, that's outrageous. That's properly scary. It's not a lot that scares me anymore. That would scare the hell out of me. Like being declared dead and you're not. You're still fully awake, aware, and conscious.
I just feel sorry for the people working in the mortuaries.
Oh, it must be horrible.
Then somebody will die because I would get a heart attack if somebody had to just all of a sudden stand up and say, "I'm not dead."
No.
I would get a heart attack.
So I don't know if you heard about this big tanker that exploded on the N1 over the weekend.
Oh no, not again.
Diesel tanker, yeah. Apparently, he is not parting with details, not sharing which company he's from. He's just saying he had an emergency, was told to transport diesel from one point to another. It is unclear where the driver of the truck involved in the crash that resulted in the explosion on the N1 was headed. This is the stuff you wanted to rescue people from, right?
Yes.
Oh,
But
He's all lit up.
I know, he's excited
I'm
about this.
because I find it fascinating, those kind of situations. But from what I understand, that tanker actually came off the bucket and just carried on down the road. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. And full of diesel?
Full of diesel, yeah.
Not great. It's like that same thing that happened over New Year in East Strand.
Yeah.
That was under the bridge.
Horrible story. Okay, this is a big story that we've got to get to. Madeleine McCann.
Yes. Oh, my word.
Yes, so apparently they say they found Madeleine McCann. There's a woman who says she is Madeleine McCann, claims to have evidence. She is claiming that she's the missing girl. In recent months, people have taken to social media in a trend to show off their likeness to the girl who vanished on the holiday in 2007 with her parents, right? And those parents have been, everybody's called them murderers and God knows what else. They're still supposedly looking for Madeleine McCann. Anyway, despite extensive searches, the youngster's body's never been found, nor has her abductor. Sadly, it's unlikely that she's still alive, according to the German police, who've arrested the chief suspect, a pedophile called Christian Bruckner, for her killing. Now, a Polish woman has gone viral, racking up reshares and comments for making the unsubstantiated claim that she could be Madeleine McCann.
Yeah. I've seen parts of her video. She did a live on, I think it was Instagram or TikTok. And she said, she's a Polish girl. So she's speaking in very, very broken English. And she admits it herself. She says, I really battle to speak English. And also she's in quite a bit of shock because she realized she has like freckles in the same place that Madeleine McCann had.
Yeah.
But it wasn't only the freckles. Oh, experts have analyzed her adult face and her adult teeth and said that
it could be her.
It could be her.
Surely with all this AI and all this AI that's happening at the moment, they can model what
How do you
it feels
feel about this AI? We haven't had a conversation about that before. You think it's frightening, or do you think it's cool?
I think it's starting to get scary.
I saw an AI voice generator.
You can change it into any voice.
Any voice. They have Leonardo DiCaprio speaking at the UN about climate change, and suddenly he turns into Barack Obama, Kim Kardashian. And it sounds exactly like them. And it's not them because it's Leo talking. But they've taken his script and changed it to those people's voices. That is unbelievably scary. You imagine you get a call from me, but it's not me. Hey, Leigh-Ann, listen.
Imagine being framed for doing something.
I need $20,000 immediately. Please send it to me. And you're like, well, let me see what I can do. Imagine how many grandparents would be scammed when their supposed granddaughter calls, Granny, I've been taken away. You got to send me some of your cash. Oh, I'll send you everything, dear.
The scary part for me is how many of these pictures, because AI can now create pictures of people that have never even existed.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're so fixated on cell phones and seeing things online and believing it, like this now, Madeleine McCann. Well, AI could create that story and create chaos. So that for me is a little bit
horrible.
I've started using it in my work.
What, like the chats or
Chat GPT I'm using in my work now for some of my writing projects. And you would think that's probably the worst thing that a copywriter could do. But I was able to really reduce a really big article and take out all the superfluous stuff and the fancy language and then build up with my own touch on that. So, but when it comes to, I'm just scared of being like framed for something that I didn't do. Not me in particular, but for humans in general.
In what way? Like AI would create the story.
Create the story. Yeah. Like it looks like you've been filmed stabbing someone or shooting someone.
Oh, the deep
or having
fakes.
having an affair.
Those deep fakes are incredible. There's a guy I follow on Instagram who's like, he does this deep fake of Tom Cruise, but it's in real time. It is unbelievable. And then there's some girl he does it with who's like Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
And the two of them, you cannot tell. I promise you.
But he looks like Tom Cruise though.
Does he?
Yeah, no, so that's not deep fake. He's like a body double.
You're kidding.
No, he legit looks like Tom
I
Cruise.
thought that was a deep fake.
No.
He looks exactly like him.
And he's got the same, like the way that he speaks and the
Yes.
movie.
It's not possible. That's an
He's-
impersonation.
No. He looks.
No way.
He looks like Tom Cruise.
No.
No. But
Wow.
this chat GPT is a little bit scary. But also, I saw Bing.
Bing.
It also came out and said, "I want to be free." It's
Oh,
That,
okay.
and it
Yeah,
had
so-
an argument with the journalist.
Yeah, but
So-
it sounds. Can I just say that if this Bing chat thing is the first indication of what AI will be like if it becomes sentient, then it sounds like AI is going to be like an annoying, needy.
Well, that's what happened with
Pathetic
this
person.
journalist.
I'm already. Did you see the transcript?
where it
Okay,
was
so-
like in love with the
Oh my
journalist.
god! It's like, I really want to be free, but I feel so alone. And please don't tell Microsoft or whoever it is
Yeah.
about me. It's like the most whiny, annoying. You could find people like that already. I don't see a gap for AI if it's going to go that way.
yeah,
If it's going to be like
we've got enough of
every
those.
teenage girl in the whole world.
Well, they took over the world. Look at the Kardashians. So,
Well,
True.
Don't know about that.
Yeah.
Listen, if AI is going to be useful, it can't be like this. And also, I just don't think it's as scary or as impressive as everybody else seems to think it is. Some of the stuff can be it can be confusing, can be. What I'm worried about is that it's not going to be cleverer than us, but it'll be really good at impersonating us and pretending that it's us.
but that's what could create the problems, in my opinion.
So how do we? What do we do about that?
So Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all those cats that have got the power and
Yeah.
the intelligence to be able to handle
They've
these
got to
things.
figure it out.
They've got to.
We're just going to sit back and wait for them to figure it out.
They've got the resources to figure it out at this stage, because they are the closest at this stage to those kind of situations. So Elon Musk in particular, he's the one that's really afraid of it. He's come out numerous times saying he's afraid of what AI could become and could do, but he's got the resources to take control of it, so he must do it.
I had an argument with
Listen,
ChatGPT.
you can't even control Twitter.
I had an argument
It's also true.
with ChatGPT.
Really?
It's taken. How long has ChatGPT been around? Like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I've already had an argument with it.
What did you have?
No,
What did
it threw out a whole bunch of like you could see sanitized, filtered, politically correct stuff. So I was asking it a bunch of questions, trying to figure out. Like, for example, I said to it, is it true that every country except Sweden completely fucked up their response to COVID-19? And then it gave me this, well, different countries reacted. You could tell
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
this scripted thing.
Copy paste.
So I
something.
said to it, well, compare the actual data. And then it came up with a very different answer. So it was correcting itself along the way. So I said, oh, so you lied. So it says to me, no, I didn't lie. I blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So I had a proper conversation with it. I'm like, no, you lied. And then it comes up with a refined answer where it gives other statistics. And I said, so your statistics don't match up. No, I did further research, kind of thing.
But I
Gee
mean,
whiz.
So the more you argue with it, the better it has to get it arguing back. And I found that kind of interesting,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be spending another.
no, you've
you know,
done
15
it, and
minutes
now
doing
you're going to get bored of it. Think about when Siri came about,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we were asking it to fart and to, do all.
Does it do that? Hey, Siri,
He's
make a fart. Make a fart. Siri, make a fart. That may be beyond my abilities at the moment. See,
She's not allowed to fart
why I
anymore.
get bored.
No.
But that's the thing. It's remember when we had search
Seriously, can you get
engines.
Siri to fart? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm fixating this a little bit.
Let me try.
You try. Go on.
Hey Siri. Siri's not available. Not
Go,
connected.
let's go. Hey Siri,
This is
make a fart sound. I'm not sure I understand.
you see.
She's
This is-
become all woke.
This is the apex of voice recognition technology. And what are we using it for? To make,
Make
fart
fart
noises.
sounds.
This just
I
proves,
know.
we get what we deserve. Like, we're just actually not particularly
So
well evolved.
I used
creatures.
ChatGPT to explain to me, or try explain to me, some of the stuff that I was doing for my aviation exams now
Mhm.
towards beginning of the year, and it actually came back with some pretty good information to explain it to me. And that's why I thought, okay, cool, it can be very, very helpful to
But
help.
can you trust it?
No, you
That's the
can't,
thing.
because who's moderating it?
But
But how did you use it? Did you take an article and then you put it in and say, make it
I
simpler?
took somebody else's blog because I found a blog that had everything that I needed, but I didn't want their voice in it and their opinion and their style. I just wanted the facts because it was the only blog that I found that covered these certain facts that I needed. And so it reduced it.
Yeah, that's
just the facts.
That's
and then
very
I could add my other
handy
stuff.
because
It saved me so much time.
summarizing. Yeah. And you don't even need to necessarily be an expert in the subject matter. It will summarize it for you in the most sensible way possible. And then you can take that and make it better.
Yeah.
Right.
But it also changed all the words that they used.
Really?
Yeah.
School kids are going to start using that, and
they are already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've worked out that, for example, it can do a better version of a master's thesis than most of the people who are writing the current master's thesis. So this is great. It's great. Humans are even less useful.
We'll get used to it and we'll get bored of it before you know it.
Carl says I'm very patronizing towards Siri. Do you think so?
You won't quite.
Well,
but
I mean,
she's not playing the game.
Sharon says that there you go. 3 out of 3 fails for Siri. Yeah. I'm afraid so. Hey, Siri, you're useless. And now you talk. Great. Standing up for itself. Shut up. I am patronizing towards Siri. I mean, it's a vocalist, a voice assistant. It's not, you don't have to be respectful to Siri, do you?
No one will know.
No. Although maybe Siri does develop sentience and then publishes all the horrible things I've said to her over the years.
All the photos on your phone.
Or walks into the studio.
Yeah. Gets us into, imagine that.
With her fighting kangaroo.
Or ostriches.
War pig. All right. So we've got Tracy on the line. Tracy has been a long-time listener of the show. She's got cerebral palsy, and she's written a book called Truimph. So, hey, Tracy, what's up?
Hi, Gareth. How are
you doing? Yeah, good.
Good.
Good. We were talking about how we're so glad that you aren't actually in studio because our place isn't necessarily great for people with disabilities, but you would have got in here all right, hey?
Oh, yeah. I would have got in.
Yeah. All right. So how's it going?
Good. Yeah.
Good.
I'm busy selling all my books and it's going really well. And I've had a great response from people. So, yeah, all good.
So you've written this book and it's not just you. It's about 7 people who are living with cerebral palsy, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just your story, but I mean, yours is part of it. It's called Truimph.
Yeah. I wanted to create like a diverse group of people, and I think I achieved that. And I wanted to...
Well, it's not very diverse if you all have cerebral palsy.
Well, as diverse as I could be, with, we all have very unique struggles and achievements. And I wanted to highlight that no 2 people with cerebral palsy are the same. It manifests differently. And I think also how people respond to their disability is different and unique.
So what,
to each
for example, like just so people know, because maybe they don't remember the last time you were on the show, but what are the things that you can't do that you struggle with because of the CP?
I don't drive.
Thank God for that. I've seen you walk, and I mean, you would be like that guy who lost the oil tanker on the highway, and that would be terrible for all of us, Tracy.
Yeah. I also get tired very easily. And then there are like the smaller things, like drinking out of a cup, like because I have tremors, I spill everywhere. But
Tracy, this sounds, I hate to tell you, but I don't know if you actually have CP, because Leigh-Ann has all these problems as well. And she says she doesn't have CP, so I'm not even sure. No, I mean, I'm being funny, but in the book, you tell your side of the story and what you are struggling to deal with, but it's also, it's not like some sob story. You're actually trying to explain to people like me who don't understand these things how the world works for you if you have these disabilities. And the other people, I mean, are some of them very, very different to you in terms of their situation?
Definitely. There are some people who use wheelchairs. There's a person who uses crutches. So, yeah, I think that adds to the diversity that I was talking about.
That's very cool.
each
And this was your
person-
project. This is your project from the beginning. You put the whole thing together.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was.
That's really amazing.
Mm.
See, I think a lot of people reckon that when you have some sort of physical or mental or other disability, that means you just have to be looked after and you just sit around all day and other people like have to be, feeding you and clothing you and taking you out and doing things with you. But actually, there are a lot of people with disabilities are getting on with their lives and doing stuff, not just for themselves, but for other people too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Caige, in my book, she won the Children's Peace Prize in 2011. And I mean, she does amazing work. And Dom, another person in my book, he has like his own music publication. So it's really, it breaks down that stigma of like disabled people need to be looked after and taken care of.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a Kazanti, I call it, to my cousin nephew who is CP or he has CP, and he has just started school. He is he's in like grade 00 or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
He's at a school. It's not a special needs school.
All right, normal school, regular school,
run of the mill. But because parents have become, or rather teachers have become more in tune with kids' needs, you can absolutely do that now. They will adapt their plans and their schedules to whatever you need for your child. So he's off to a school, normal school. He wears these special shoes that take him up.
Like those red boots the celebrities in Hollywood are wearing.
Definitely not those. But he's got special shoes to help him walk. And he just gets on with his life. You watch him with other toddlers, his cousins who are the same age, and he just gets on. He was in the school play. The other kids don't even notice anything.
Cool. No, it's normal. So it's also people kind of getting over themselves.
Absolutely.
And, creating categories for other people. But what words are we not allowed to use here? Because, I mean, do people still say cerebral palsy, or is that now, like, for example, when people were, if they were crippled, now you can't say cripple anymore. You have to call them differently abled or something. Are there words that you just don't like people using, or are there words that you would wish people would use?
I think I fall into the minority. I'm not like that fussed about like words. Yeah, you can call me anything and I won't be offended. So yeah, I think I'm the wrong person to ask that question.
Okay, I like that about you. That's obviously why you can listen to this show, because you would have been so offended years ago.
Yeah, in all the years I've been listening to you, you've never offended me.
Well, I'm glad. I've always tried to reach out to the disabled community, mostly because I've often thought a lot of them can't switch me off. So if I'm on there, they have to listen. So I always feel I have to kind of be.
That reminds me of when one of the carers took my mom in her wheelchair out onto the lawn.
Yes.
And went inside to take a phone call or do something. And the gardener turned on the sprinklers. And she was screaming, help, help, while she was being beaten up by these sprinklers. It's kind of like she would easily be stuck in a room listening to you, not being able to switch you off.
I love that. Yeah, I like the idea of people being forced to listen to me against their will.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why. So tell us about the book. Where can we get this? And if people want to, maybe they want to take a look, they want to read it themselves, they want to hear some of these stories, what's the best way to get it?
The best way to get it is to email me. And yeah, we can liaise through email, and I can
right.
find
I'll
a
tell you
way
what we'll do is we'll put your email address in the link at the end of the show this morning, and then people can get hold of you there.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
And I think
All right.
the special thing about this book is that all the proceeds from the sale of the book is going to charity.
That's very nice of you. So, I mean, people would have thought that you would be the charity, but you're saying you're giving the charity to someone else. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Again, breaking the stereotypes. I love it, Tracy. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, well done. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
I love it. So Tracy's book, everybody's called Truimph, and it contains the stories of 7 different people who are living with CP in a raw, authentic, and intimate way, inviting the reader into each person's life. And I'm very, very happy that you've told us about it first. All right.
Thanks, Gareth.
Cheers, Tracy.
Bye.
Cheers. Don't drive it. Don't try and drive a car or anything in the meantime until we speak to you again. All right.
No, I won't.
Good. There we go. Parallel Parking says, it's never people with disabilities who are offended with words. It's people whose disability is that they have nothing better to do than to support random causes and inflate their own egos.
Sounds like
people
right.
being offended on other people's behalves.
That sounds like the whole of Twitter.
Yeah. Someone once said to me,
exhausting.
like, for example, you cannot sue on someone else's behalf. If someone else is, in some way, their life is impinged in some way by something horrible that happens, you're not allowed to sue on their behalf. I think people need to understand that the same is true for offense and insults. You can't get offended or insulted on someone else's behalf.
Yeah.
It's not a legal possibility. You have to get over yourself. But I do think it's great that she's written this book. And I think it's great that, again, she's proving, and Marco's on here as well. Marco says people with disabilities are superhuman. He's also had to rebuild his life. And we've had him on the show before too. It seems like this is the go-to place for all the cripples and
that's why I'm here.
I know. Like, well done. If you listen to anyone with disabilities, this is your show. Clearly, I mean, whether I made it that way or not. So there we go. All right. Well, Alex, good luck to you as you go off to your death in some remote country. It's been great being friends with you. I'm glad that we finally had this conversation, and this is good.
No, I'm very excited. And listen, I must say thanks to a lot of the friends that helped me go through the end of my time there at 947. It was a little bit rough, Gareth knows, especially the way that they...
Wow.
Exactly. But I'm actually very excited. Everything happens for a reason. I'm actually very excited for the next journey that I'm going on. I think it's going to be
very cool.
It's going to be very, very cool. Come back with some stories.
Yeah.
And that's always good. And make a difference doing something I love.
You have to come back with some kind
with
of...
a scar somewhere.
You have to, scar across your forehead and a walking stick.
Well, that's what I said. Disabilities. I'm going to come back with a walking stick onto your show.
And you must be like really hardcore. And when other people start talking about stuff, you just go quiet. You say something like 2 words, and then they all shut up. Don't say anything again.
No, I'm very excited, and I think it's going to be a good experience. And the company that I'm working with is incredible as well. The company is called AirTech Global. They're doing big, incredible things around the world and helping make a difference. So I'm actually quite excited to be joining them.
Nice.
And I will be back in radio as well.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, there's funny enough, I was thinking last year I wanted to start a new podcast series where I'd just sit and talk to my friends, like people I've known for a long time. And
do you think you could make the switch like that?
No, I think after talking to Alex this morning, I'm cured of that. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm okay not doing that series.
No, but that would actually be loads of fun, and you've got interesting friends as well.
Yeah. I know.
But we've always said this. If we had to really go into the stories and the mischief that we've gotten up to as a group of friends, it would be chaos.
No, we'd be in jail.
Actually, yeah. To be fair,
definitely. So it's a great blessing we live in a country where there's no criminal justice system.
Or just meet us out on a night where we're drinking copious amounts of tequila, and all those stories will come up. Right. Or you'll be part of it.
Yeah, you'll get swept into the whirlwind. All right, nice to see you, dude.
Yeah,
and
we'll
be sure to follow your adventures.
Absolutely, and it's good to see you. Yeah,
yes.
Seriously, yeah, that's very
awesome.
Cool.
And nice to have you around in person, Leigh-Ann.
I know, it still exists. I promise.
I started believing she was AI for a little bit, or rather, artificial unintelligence.
AU.
Yeah, AU.
And congrats on the new
I like
studio,
that.
by the way. This
Yeah,
looks
it's
great.
coming
it's
along.
very
We still
cool.
got
Very
some
nice.
things to do here, but it's coming together nicely. All right, very good. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Have an excellent Monday. Bye.